So the reality is that consumers today want a relationship with the companies that they do business with. That wasn't always true because we didn't necessarily have a means for a relationship. In the past, if we wanted to communicate with a company that we did business with, we wrote them a letter, or maybe we called their toll-free number, and that was pretty much all we had. And now with chat and web and mobile and social media and other mechanisms, we actually can establish a much more human relationship with the companies that we spend our hard-earned money with. And I think the companies that are doing this right understand that their customers are not just an account number, but they're human beings on the other end that want a human relationship. And so that's when customer experience comes outside, is when your customers really feel like you're not an ivory tower, you're not a building, you're not a name on the wall, but you're actually a company made up of human beings.
And so to do that, do you have to have like one point of contact for each customer? For example, I interviewed JB Kellogg of Marketing 360, and they're a marketing company that hardly does any automation, and they're the fastest growing company in the country. And the reason I got to JB was because one of his employees, now have a personal relationship with him. We started texting, then we jumped, then I know where he lives, I know his brother, I know everything about him. And now it's not like, oh, Marketing 360, it's Jordan there, right? And if I need anything, like Jordan messaged me Happy New Year and stuff like that. And from that, I was like, wow, this is such a cool company. I would love to talk to the owner and see how did you develop this type of company without the automation and manage to grow. And it boils down to what you're saying. It's the relationship, right, with the customer that you're having, but the personal relationship to the point of like, I have a text number, right? I have a cell phone. So is that something that we are going towards? Like you have to know personally someone in a company to feel that you're connected to it? Or do you have different ways to make people feel like, no, we actually care about you, but my cell phone is my cell phone kind of thing?
Yeah, I think it depends on the industry. So especially in B2B, people buy from salespeople that they like, and they establish a relationship with that salesperson, and that's often why certain salespeople are more successful than others. The problem in a B2B space is that salesperson often makes the sale, and then the first thing they do is hand the client off to somebody else.
Yeah.
And the client is left to say, well, hold on a second, I liked working with Steve, and now all of a sudden I have to work with John. So in some companies, I think, yeah, you can have that single relationship. In other companies, take Starbucks, for example. The thing that Starbucks does well is no matter which Starbucks you go in, you know that you're going to have a certain caliber of barista behind the counter. You know that if you go in there more than 2 or 3 times, they're going to start to remember your order and remember your name. And you can establish a personal relationship even if you're only in there once because it's, you're visiting a town and you walk into a Starbucks. And that's because they've created a consistent experience that when you walk in the door, it's warm, it's comfortable, it smells like coffee and pastries, and you're sort of taken into, they refer to it as the third place, but you're taken into a place that's comfortable and that no matter where you go in the world. So it really depends on the type of business that you're in, but it does always come down to some human contact. Even when you're talking to a customer on social media, for example, a lot of companies have their customer service agent sign their name or their initials. So that it feels like I'm talking to Sally, not I'm talking to company XYZ.
So one of the things you were talking about is figuring out the pain points, right? The pain points of the customer. And a lot of people will not come to you and say, hey, Dan, I really don't like the way that you treated me or whatever you said, right? But they'll go out to Twitter and be like, right? Or Google and just like blast it all over the web where you couldn't have perceived that. So how do you find the pain points before the customer is so annoyed that he goes out and rants on social media?
Yeah, so it's a combination, I think, of looking at the data and listening to your customers. So let's take a website, for example. Most companies have a website. Sometimes it's just a viewing website, and sometimes it's like an account center, like a credit card where you log in and have to do things. And the data of running a website can be extremely valuable. How do people find you? What did they search in Google to get to you? How long did they spend on a page? Which pages did they go to? When do they drop off? That's just data, right? But you can also listen to customers. So if you have a feedback form, it's amazing how many companies solicit feedback but then don't actually read the feedback.
Yeah, that's
or
true.
do anything with it.
Right.
If you're listening on social media, people may be talking about you even though they're not tagging your brand, right? On Twitter, we can talk about a brand without actually doing an at mention, right? And
Right.
so brands should be listening for that and then trying to learn from it and also participate in the conversation.